That's good. Good point. Good point. Rich Thompson, 100 Dads, fairly new organization, founded out of your passion to see parents more involved in the issue. And you specifically as a parent see the lack of this, and you specifically have a heart for fathers getting involved more. What do you tell people when you're conversing with them about this issue, about what you don't see in the arena right now, and what we need to see if we really want to put this issue on the front burner and get some traction?
Well, first I'd say that it takes a partnership in order to truly educate a child. I believe parents are the first in the first line of authority when it comes to educating children, but it takes a partnership. And what I have seen over the years is, in many cases, men have been abdicated from the process of being involved. Unfortunately, many PTA meetings you go to, there aren't a lot of us. But apparently, when it comes to the public education side, I can't tell you how many times I've had teachers who told me that they wanted me to be a mentor because the kids needed that male presence. They needed that male mentorship. But ironically, when the men showed up and they identified some things that, well, you know, if you were to tweak things just a little bit over here and a little bit over there, perhaps we can change this paradigm around and we can improve this environment. It wasn't that well received. That's what happened to me. I came into my daughter's neighborhood school. They asked me to be involved. I took an assessment. I said, wow, okay. Well, have you tried this or have you tried that? Well, Mr. Thompson, we just wanted you to just stand over there in your suit and look professional, and so the kids could know what a business professional is supposed to look like. That is what got me started. That's what got the fire burning.
When did you start the Rich Thompson cutouts? Put them in a corner. And, that's what they look like. That's what they look
not
like.
even.
Right.
But the goal is basically I want to see a total approach to parenting and a total approach to parental involvement and parental engagement. In order to do that, we just simply can't just show up to PTA meetings or show up to fundraisers. It involves going to your local school council meetings. It involves going to the local school board meetings, making recommendations for policies that you would like to see implemented in your school, even making recommendations as far as academics and things you want to see taught in the classroom. We can no longer simply leave it to the, quote, experts to rear our children. It is the responsibility of parents given to us by God to make sure that our kids have all the resources they need. And we have a limited time frame to do it, kindergarten through 12th grade. If we miss 1 year or 2 years in that process, we lose a kid for a lifetime.
Stephen Walker is the CEO of Tech High School. And there are obviously quite a few, several principals in the room tonight, several directors of schools, and doing phenomenal work. And thank you all for all that you do. For the sake of time, I asked Stephen to help us kind of get a picture from the front lines, from the charter school side of things. Specifically, you have an interesting school with an exceptional record. In pursuing some of what the governor's new objectives are with the STEM program and a STEM focus for a magnet charter. Can you explain a little bit about what that looks like and what innovation really looks like? What is it about the charter school environment that allows you to be more innovative for kids?
Absolutely. One of the things we were talking about earlier, you just mentioned that the fact that we have our own governing board. So part of the ability to be more innovative and respond quickly and not take a long time to turn around and implement innovation is the fact that our governing board is independent and is right there. So when we have our monthly meeting, and as the CEO, I sit on the board, and you know, once we talk about it, we discussed it, it's implemented the next day. We have a board meeting Thursday. Guess what? Friday, we're implementing. So the ability to respond, you can't get more local than that. You can't get more local than parents making a decision on what they want to do. So when I hear local meaning, well, you know, leave it to the local, I can get more local than that. And that is when you start talking about parents, a governing board that is engaged and cares about the performance and what the school is doing. Because we are a charter school and structured like that, it allows us to be a lot more, respond quicker. It also means that we, you know, the misconception about charter schools is that we're taking the best students, okay? And I want to make that clear, that at Tech High, we receive students. We accept any student that comes in. That's it. And a lot of times, we've received some students that are coming in way behind. But what we recognize, because of the way we're structured, we can respond to that. We can, if we need additional remediation for a class that's coming in, we can respond to it quickly. If we have some students that want to be challenged at a higher level with more rigor, we can have a class of 4 students taking AP Calculus. And if that's what the demand is there, we make it happen. So I think the wonderful thing about the charter option is that you're a lot more flexible, and you really are serving the needs of the student, and based upon the ones that you have at that time. And it's dynamic, and it will shift from year to year.
BJ Van Gundy is nothing if not assertive. He's a man who never likes to let someone stay out in the cold on this issue. So he's always there to open a door of opportunity. And so what's that for a segue? So anyway, and he's very illustrative. He's very good for a prop too, illustrating the point. So BJ, because you do have a lot of fire in the belly for this issue, and you talk to a lot of folks, and what is, if you had to come up with the top 2 or 3, this is kind of a broad question, but the top 2 or 3 things that you see as misunderstandings, misconceptions that the general public has about the benefits of charter schools, what are those things, and what's the strategy for addressing them?
I'm one of the people that he didn't tell about this until I walked in the door.
That's why I went broad.
And now he wants me to make a list of things. Nice.
Pretend you're Sean Hannity.
Yeah, exactly. 1, this, 2, this. Misconceptions. Well, one is there's always charter schools always get just the kids whose parents care more. And you know what? I don't care. Maybe the parents do care more. I'm not going to tell you it's not the parents that care more. I think Rich cares more than a lot of other parents with kids in schools. So be it. But let Rich take those kids out of the school that's not doing well. You know, this whole thing, as I mentioned on the film, Ivy Prep has kids scoring 95 on stuff, but they're stuck in schools, they're scoring 60s. Well, if the parents that care more want to get their kids the heck out of that school that's scoring 60s on the CRTs and put them in Ivy Prep where they can score 95, then let the parents take their kids out of there. What are we supposed to do? We got a school with 1,000 kids in it, and 400 of the parents care. Well, it wouldn't be fair to let those 400 take their kids out of that crummy school and put them in a good school. Let's make those 400 kids stay in the crappy school and get a horrible education along with those other 600 who don't care. I mean, that's garbage. So I guess that's one of them. I don't know. What's another misconception, Tony, that I could abuse?
Hey, let me join in and be a little pro.
You do one.
Well, I think one of the biggest misconceptions is, and BJ kind of set this up saying it's like a crappy school, it's like really bad. The reality is some of the schools are actually doing a pretty good job. They're okay.
Some great schools.
But the problem lies that the kids are having to accept being simply average. And we simply cannot compete with people across the waters if we're maintaining just the status quo. If we're 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, pick whatever statistic, whether it be math, science, or reading, we're at the bottom internationally. As long as we're comfortable and the kids are comfortable learning at that particular level that they've been asked to rise up to, we're losing a generation. So the misconception is that the schools are just all bad and they need to go have a choice option. Some of the schools are just average, and the kids need to be in an environment that focuses on teaching to the top and not to the bottom, and not to the middle. We've had millions of dollars pouring into metropolitan area school districts because the kids were doing so poorly. It was almost an incentive to do bad because you got more money. There was always a grant that was tied to the need to achieve and the need to help a certain demographic and the need to help this targeted group. Well, what about the kids who are walking in the door prepared because their parents have spent the time and effort to get them to square one, and we're trying to get to square two and square three and square four, but we're being prohibited from having our kids have the fullness of an education because all the money is too busy trying to take the people at the bottom and get them to the middle. But the poor kids who are already in the middle, nobody's advocating for them to take it to the next level so that they compete internationally.
It wasn't the race to the top, it was the race to the bottom.
Okay, and here's the other one. I only got two.
Is his mic hotter than the rest of it? You need to like pull him down.
I got one more. Here's the other one, and it was huge up in Cherokee County, and it hadn't even been brought up huge in the whole charter school thing. But Cherokee made it the issue. Was it $3.3 or $3.9 million that charter school was going to cost the school system? The argument was that if Cherokee Charter Academy opens up, it's going to cost the school system $3.9 million. 3.9, 3.3, 3 something. $4 million. So it was going to cost
just shy of.
It was going to cost just shy of $4 million. But here's the thing. Those of us that understand business, if I open up a McDonald's and I sit in my McDonald's and I make money and somebody opens up a Burger King across the street and takes half of my business, I may have to cut my staff to half of my staff because half of my business went away. Now, look, when a charter school opens up with 500, and Alvin Wilbanks, I'm going to be careful. Alvin Wilbanks said this, and I wrote an editorial, I don't know, 3-4 years ago that didn't make him happy. But he said, that money that's going to Ivy Prep could have gone to pay for 25 or 30 teachers. It did go to pay for 25 or 30 teachers. Not 25 or 30 teachers he controlled, 25 or 30 teachers that worked for Nina. And that was what was important. The fact is, Mr. Wilbanks, fire 25 or 30 teachers. Fire your worst. It's your excuse to get rid of 25 or 30 bad teachers. But get rid of employees equivalent. If you got 1,000 students in a school and you go down to 500 students, you need half as many teachers. It's pretty easy. So if 500 kids go off to Ivy Prep, you don't have 160,000 kids anymore. You have about 159,500 you got to educate. You need to cut the teachers. It's not rocket science, but the big argument up in Cherokee that got the teachers all up in arms is everybody started passing emails around going, teachers are going to get fired. So they made that the issue. Oh, teachers are going to get fired. This is horrible. No, educating kids is all that we care about. It's got to stay. We got to keep the issues around the kids, making sure we're educating kids. We can't let kids go for 5 years in a cruddy school. We need, or even a great school that's just not right for those kids. We need to let these kids get out and go to the school that's best for them.
How are you at digging holes and filling them back up again?
Exactly.
That's a shovel-ready project. It has been for way too long. Virginia, Christine, Dr.